Glover. I wanted to do this video about bullying in school. School shooter Colt Gray, he was bullied in school allegedly because he was gay. And like there's been extensive studies about the link between bullying and school shooting. And I haven't been someone who was bullied in school. Just to tell this story about my freshman year, I went to an all boys Catholic high school called St. Rita on the south side of Chicago. And I remember it was like my freshman year, and I was excited, like, to be at the school and like have sports activities, because the school I went to like prior was like a very small school. We only had a basketball team. We didn't really have in a track and field. We didn't really have a football team, and so like went out for the football team my freshman year. I was doing my best, just to fit in. Like I always was really athletic and learning the game, and I was going to school, going to practice every day, and trying to make friends at a new school, like where I didn't really know anyone. Like some people and stuff and everything, they went from like different grade schools, so like they had people that they knew. I didn't really have a group of friends that I knew before I came to St. Rita. And I remember I was at the locker room one day, after like working out, like for football practice we had like weight training, and like one of the guys was like, "Oh, are you going to the homecoming?" And I was like, "I don't have a date or anything." He was like, "Oh, you don't need a date." He made it seem like it was gonna be like a mixer, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." Like and I would be able to meet girls and probably get a date there. And I went to the dance. Ironically, it wasn't a mixer. Like you had to bring a date. That was like the rule. And interestingly enough, like his date was waiting because he was late to the dance. So I ended up going in like with his date to the dance, and like I got to enjoy like a little bit of the dance. And like it was a big ordeal because like the principal of the school basically came up, and like when he had showed up to the dance, obviously he didn't have a date to go in, so he was upset. And I was asked to step outside by like and I was confronted by his brother, who like was a gang member, and like he was a gang member too, unbeknownst to me. Like so I was confronted by like 20 or 30 gang members who felt like I violated him. And luckily the principal, Joseph Baumgartner, came outside, because like I probably could have gotten really hurt. Like it was like I was outnumbered. It was a 20v1. And after that, like my time at St. Rita wasn't really good. Like I remember like the next day of school, the guy was like trying to entice me to fight. We eventually did fight, and he kicked me in the nuts doing football practice. And like I actually remember like the pain to this day, like killing over in pain, and crawling back to the locker room in embarrassment and shame. And it was like a really bad time for me, particularly at that school. Like people would like try me, because like once like somebody senses that you're weak, like become a target. And there were times and stuff like where I'd be walking down the hall and people would push books out of my hand, or there would be like times that I'd have food thrown at me in the cafeteria, or like a lot of things like that were dehumanizing. I eventually ended up leaving St. Rita. I went to another school called Luther South, and for some reason I was facing like similar situations. Even though I hadn't done anything, I was just new at the school. Nobody knew me, and it was this older kid named Paris, and he used to bully me because he was just bigger than me. He was probably like 6'2". I was at the time probably like 5'9". And like I remember one day particularly where we were skating, because we had a gym class and we were skating in the gym, roller skating, and he pushed me. I fell, and like I immediately got up ready to fight, even though he was bigger than me. And the gym teacher intervened, and sent me to the office with him, even though like he was the one who like it started it. Like he was making it seem like I was the problem. And I talked to the principal at the time, Mr. Rennie. I've had him on my YouTube channel, or whatever. And like, you know, he was making it seem like I was the problem. But like the truth of the matter was, it was like there was this troubled kid who was bothering me. I was pretty much a loner. I was staying to myself. I didn't cause trouble. I didn't bother anybody. I just went to school, and it was so bad for me that in high school I actually sat in the bathroom for lunch during a period of time because I didn't want to interact, because like, you know, I was afraid of like, you know, kids bullying me and being so mean, which kids can be. And I think like, you know, a lot of times like people need to tell their kids like to be kind, teach them to be kind to people, especially like, you know, people who are new to schools. I remember like, you know, a couple of incidents and stuff where people were just like, you know, bothering me and trying to make me react or see how I would react or see if they could try me. One of the things I did learn like eventually is though when you stand up to bullies and stuff, they have a tendency to back off. And like I've experienced bullies like throughout my life, and there's a lot of them and they come in different forms in society. But like I would like to go back to the fact that I feel like bullying, there's not enough empathy shown. Like, you know, like when kids feel so bad that their alternative is to start going to go shoot people in their high school, and teachers, parents, they're not intervening. And I could say that even on my case, I felt like, you know, the teachers were looking at me like I was the problem, and it was the other kids who were bullying me. And like, you know, sometimes that could be because of who the kids' parents are, or because like, you know, they don't want to like, you know, really address with, because like, you know, they have other issues to handle as a teacher. Obviously being a teacher is an underpaid job, but I just think like, you know, there needs to be bigger emphasis on being kind. And like, you know, we've seen this time and time again where like, you know, kids are being bullied and they decide to shoot up their school. We saw that with Columbine. We saw that just recently in Georgia. And I think like, you know, that school shootings could stop if parents did their job, if teachers did their job, and like, you know, intervene, like, you know, when children are being picked on and being bullied, and especially now with the power of social media. So I pray like, you know, for like, you know, children that are going to school, like, you know, in this era, because I know how cruel that children can be. And I think like, you know, just the United States, the world would be so much better if we all could be kind to each other. And I think like, you know, sometimes that's a lot to ask. And I've experienced bullying recently, and I no longer am like, you know, a coward. I've been cyberbullied by this rapper named Talib Kweli for a period of time where he spread malicious rumors about me, lied on me about like, you know, the kind of person I am, the kind of husband I am, the kind of father I am, like, you know, show malicious reports of like, you know, me being arrested previously to paint a picture or a narrative. And I have like no desire, like, you know, to entertain that anymore. I think like, you know, that social media needs to do a crackdown on people who like are cruel and like, you know, try to do evil things to people, try to like, you know, make people kill themselves. And I think like, you know, that we live in a society where it's no shortage of kindness. I feel like, you know, that you don't lose anything by being kind to people. You don't lose anything by being respectful, and that you don't have to treat people like crap. And like, you know, to show another story, like, you know, I remember like, you know, one time at Luther South, this girl told me she liked me, and then like, you know, it was just a joke, you know, that she could laugh with her friends. And like, that's the kind of cruel things that people do in high school. I just would like, you know, people and stuff and everything who are going to school, or like, you know, who teaches schools and stuff and everything, to take that into consideration, that, you know, they should be kind to people and like, you know, not treat people bad, like especially just because they look different, or, you know, because like, you know, maybe like some people have like, you know, learning disabilities, or even if like, you know, people don't have like, you know, a lot of money. I think like, you know, that I'm going to definitely make an effort to be kinder to people. And I hope you guys do too, like, you know, especially on social media. I don't think we have to bully each other. And I think like, you know, we could set an example, like, you know, in making the internet more respectful. I feel like, you know, you don't have to talk about the way people look. You know, God made them, and that's like, you know, someone who was created in the image of God, like, you know, regardless of how they look. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe. So follow me on social media, my YouTube, Ryan Glover 5129, Instagram, Ryan Glover 187.